we're all doing well. I welcome you to another session of Christians in Business. And today we've added some next level twist and upgrade. I'm very, very happy to bring on board myself and a few other interested helpers. I'm happy to bring on board um, a Sunday business webinar that encompasses not just Christians in business, but then it's going to encompass people from the KH assignment, people from entrepreneurs networks, impact entrepreneurs network, and people from agribusiness consortiums, and as well as people from the KH assignment, the Costal Enterprise. So I welcome you all. I know that with time we may have increasing numbers, so it's proper I do this introduction and then I'll recap it as we go on. I'm thrilled to be your host. I was hoping to activate my camera, but it seems not to work at the moment, so pardon me for that. Before we dive in, I'll just do a few quick reminders. Please keep your microphones muted during the presentation from our guest speaker, renowned lecturer, for to phrase it properly. And then also feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We'll address them during the Q&A session. And then engage us. I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the chat as he gives teaches us and what we need to know on organizational structures. Right. Now, before I introduce our speaker, we do the most fundamental thing, which is to pray, because this whole platform was started on a faith-based, so how do I call it? Faith-based motivation. So I'll share a word of prayer and then I'll introduce our speaker. Great. So please bow your heads with me wherever you are and then quickly share this prayer. So Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we thank you so much for an opportunity to gather for granted that we are living and that you have taken good care of us for this reason why we are here today. We pray that as you have done for us in the past, keep doing it again. Please release grace upon our speaker, that whatever he speaks to us will not just come from himself, but come from a deep place of wisdom and insight, that it will show us and guide us on what to do and how to apply it. We also pray for ourselves as hearers that we'll be able to take on board what is being shared, and it will quicken our feet onto success. We thank you that this goes beyond just us, that this goes far and wide, and our impact is felt throughout time.
Wonder why somebody goes out.
Thanksgiving.
Amen. There for so long.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Hello, can we check our mics? Hello. Amen. Right.
But we need to for now.
Sorry, Jehovah Jireh, I may have to mute you, so please bear with me. Okay, right. So let's keep our thoughts coming. I'm going to introduce our speaker now. He's in the person of Japhet Rampton Adombila. Mr. Japhet Rampton Adombila is a well-renowned business person. He's over the years mastered the crafts of business strategy, business modeling, business development, and works with the African Trade Network. I'll give him the opportunity to, polish his crafts by sharing that with us. I know Japhet on a personal note, and I know him on a business note as well. Japhet is an excellent business trade person. He understands the ins and outs of structures and business financing and business modeling. So you are in the right hands, I assure you, as the host of this program. And on a personal note, he's a very dedicated servant of God and also very dedicated in business. He's the type that sees a project through from start to finish. And one of such projects is what we are having. We've been having this for the past years, and this year we have moved into structures because we realize that more and more business-minded people and people who have desires for entrepreneurship seem not to know how to structure things properly. So I'm excited to have him on board again, and it's a great honor to have you here. Join me, listen to what he has for us. So at this juncture, I'm going to hand over to my guest, my friend, and business associate, Mr. Japheth Adombila. Mr. Japheth, please, I hope you're doing well. The floor is yours.
I'm doing great. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
We thank God for yet another wonderful day and a time as this to share some knowledge together. So last week we handled. Last week we looked at creating organizational structures, and per my profile, I think she said it all. So the only thing I would say is just to repeat my name. My name is Japheth Rampton Adombila. Yes. Last week, we treated a topic that was creating organizational structures for organizational structures to enhance productivity. Now, what we spoke about last week was the fact that no matter the kind of business you have or project you have, no matter how small it is or big it is, one thing that is necessary is organizational structures. And that is a two-member team or a three-member business should also have a structure. It can have some form of reporting lines. It can have some form of rules and assignments. And so all that come to form a structure. So we looked into details, how to create the structures, what kind of models you can use for your structures, and then how to implement it. Today, we want to look at enhancing organizational structures for productivity. So it means that from last week, we're looking at how to implement, how to put it in place. If it's your, let's say, if it was your initial stage, or it was a startup, or you were just doing it for the first time. Now we are looking at a situation where you have your structure in place, or you have some form of structure in place. It could be formal, it could be informal, but you have some form of structure in place. And now what we are looking at is enhancing the organizational structure. So as part of implementing it, there was in the last phase of it, we talked about where you have to monitor, evaluate, and adjust, and then make sure that your organizational structure serves its purpose. Now, after your organizational structure has run for a while, another thing you would want to do is to enhance it. Now, the reason why you are enhancing your organizational structure, one can be because the company or the business or the project has evolved. So you did that some time back, but things have changed. Your production capacity has changed. So there may be a need for some form of restructuring or enhancement. It may be that time has just passed, and then you just want to make sure that what you implemented some time back is still viable or is still efficient in the current day. Another reason may be the fact that you have put up your organizational structure, but you have found some loopholes in it. You can see that there's room for improvement. So you do that. And the fourth reason why you'd enhance your organizational structure is just to ensure that it is efficient. So you do a review of it, and then you could still maintain it, but at least you are aware that what you have in place is what is efficient because you've reevaluated it. So these are the reasons why you'd want to relook at your organizational structure for enhancement. Now, the first step in this process is to assess the current organizational structure. That's the very first step. So every time you are thinking of enhancing your organizational structure of your business, your firm, your project, the first thing you must ask yourself is, do I understand what is currently happening or what my current structure is? It means you must sit down and define your structure. Is a formal structure? Is an informal structure? Okay, there are roles and responsibilities. You can also say that You can also check to be sure that, okay, there are reporting lines or there aren't any form of reporting lines. Your players or your team or your staff are on a unilateral base or they are on different levels of authority. So you must assess it and understand what you are dealing with. Now, provided that is done, the next thing you would have to do is to now in as part of assessing your organizational structure, I've talked about the key things you are looking at. Now, these key things are: one, just to conduct assessment and understand what you are dealing with. Two, to identify certain setbacks or bottlenecks. You can call them challenges, bottlenecks, or whatever, something that needs addressing. And then the third thing of assessing your current situation is to know how efficient. You may not be doing anything wrong. Nothing is wrong with your structure, but it is not efficient. It means that you can have a good structure which is not suited for your business or suited for your project, but the structure is good. It means that you have to adapt it. So it's just to, third thing is just to evaluate the effectiveness of it. So once you've done this assessment and you understand what you are dealing with, the second thing you do is to define and align to the organizational goals. So it means that you would have to look at your structure. Does your structure have any clarity of, does it clarify your vision and your mission? You must make sure it's in line. If your structure is not favorable to your vision and your mission, for example, a business is looking at producing quality. They are not looking at the numbers. Theirs is to produce quality. Quality before the quantity. It means that the structure of the firm must be so robust that it does not allow for the production of faulty products or poor products. So it means that the quality control process of that firm would be very high. Now, another firm may be looking at quantity over quality. Let's get the quantities first. So it means that his structure must ensure that there are little lapses and that production can be fast, production can be frequent, and production is continuous without any breakage. So it means that their structures will be different. Now, the one with quality control would have a lot of managerial control and also a lot of approval stages. It means that somebody must approve a product or approve a phase before it goes to the next. So there's going to be some form of bureaucracy to ensure that nothing slips away. But then for the one that is looking at quantity, the structure will be in such a way that anyone can step into anyone's shoes at any time, provided they are unavailable. Request for confirmations would not be that stringent. It will be less bureaucratic. It means that it allows for a free flow. Now, another key thing, once you've been able to check, as part of aligning to the organizational structure, you clarify the vision, mission, make sure it's in line. The other thing is that you set clear objectives. You need to know what your objectives are. You need to know what the objectives of the business are. Then the question itself is that, my organizational structure helping meet my objectives? If not, what is hindering it? Then you reset these objectives. Then the other thing you'd have to do is to align culture and structure. So like I said, your company or your business would have certain values. As part of doing or having those values, you must also understand that there are certain corporate requirements or business rules. So you need to blend it. So let's say you are a philanthropist with a business. And so as part of your values, at each point of the year, there is a portion of your product you take out of the business and then you give to charity. And aligning that with your corporate structure and that which is your culture, you may be wondering, is what you are doing having a negative effect of the business? If you are doing the charity work and it's crippling the business, then it means that you must find a balance. You must reduce it or stop it. But if it's not crippling your business, but it's rather selling you out, then you can continue. So you can take a brand like Awake Water. What Awake does is that Awake has a percentage, it's a very small percentage of the price of the bottle that is given into charity. or their CSR. Now, so for every bottle you buy, a portion of it is given to charity or is given back to society on a project. Now, what that has done for Awake is that it sold the brand. So a lot of people who are in the health sector, people who have been sick before, people who can relate to illness, can relate to poverty and charity stuff, you realize that a lot of those people prefer to buy Awake because they feel that they are contributing to society. Now, but imagine that that business was doing something like that, or they had committed to a particular project. But you look at the project they have committed to, and you realize that it's a good project, but the project is affected. So, for example, a company has decided to adopt a school, and they provide their feeding and certain things, but it's crippling the business. It means that if you allow it, what will happen is that the business will be weak at a point you can't help the school, and you both not be in a good place. What you must do is that you must cut it or redefine that help for the school so that it doesn't affect the business. Now, so one, you assess the current organizational structure, which you knew already. You're checking if it's still what you knew or what the changes are. The second thing is that you define and align organizational goals. So once you understand where you are, you ensure that your goals are clear. If you have to redefine them, you do. If you realize that it is your organizational structure that needs some adjustment, you note that down. Then the third thing you'd have to do is evaluate the current roles and responsibility. So now you have understood where you are as a business. You've understood how your structure is. You implemented it 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 5 years ago. You have seen its effect on the business. Has it helped the business? Has it rather slowed the business? What are the points of the structure that you have identified that these are the bottlenecks, these are the challenges, this is where the issue is coming from? You've done all that. You've also checked your goals. Are my goals aligned to where my vision, where I want to go? You restructure them and your objectives. Once that is done, it means that you have understood your structure. You have understood what the strength of your structure and the weakness of your structure. You have understood the opportunities of your structure. And now what you want to do is to make sure that that structure you have can help you going forward. And so what you are now doing is that the structure, the core part of the structure is not just what is on paper. It is not just what has been done over time. It is not just the rules and regulations set aside. But one of the most critical part of your structure is the human resource, the people that run the structure. Now, the thing about it is that, so the third point is that once you'd have to evaluate their rules and responsibilities. That's the third point. You evaluate their rules and responsibilities. Now, because they form the structure. So if there's some weakness in the structure, it means that someone's responsibility, it should be somebody's responsibility to address that weakness. It should be somebody's role to provide some form of service or direction to handle that area. So that is essential. Now, as part of evaluating the roles and responsibilities, it means that you are bringing role clarity. Maybe somebody's role is intertwined with another, is creating confusion. Let there be role clarity. Maybe you are looking at people's skill set, it's not so good, it's not up to what you need, upgrade them. That's what we call an upskill. You must get your skills upward. The other thing you must also do is you must reskill. Somebody has been assigned to this role. You are reassigning the person to another role. Some form of training must go. Some form of mentoring must go. Some form of supervision must go. Some form of direction must be given. And that is also what we call reskilling. So sometimes you must reskill some of them and you must also upskill them. Then you must have a job design which is enriched. It means that whatever their job description, somebody may have a 3-pointer job description, but you realize that no, you need to add 2 more points to it. So you enhance their job description so that they can deliver more. Then the fourth thing you do is you optimize communication and decision making. And optimizing communication and decision making, what you are doing is that you are making sure that in your organizational structure, after you have addressed roles and responsibilities and tweaked them here and there, it shouldn't affect the communication flow. It means that communication should rather get better. You must understand and identify where the communication blocks are and all that, and enhance the channels. Where there are no communication channels, there's a break. You must put in some measures to ensure communication flow. The second thing you must also look at that is that you decentralize decision making. There are certain decisions that people need approval and make at a point. Some staff in some level must be empowered to make those decisions so that things can flow. For example, a company has an automated generator. When the lights goes off, the gen makes the decision and the gen turns on. That's an automated system. Second phase is that the company has a gen set, but when the light goes off, somebody must turn it off. So if there's a staff available, the staff does it. If not, security does it. And so once it happens, the person is called to do it. The third level is that, let's say, it's the staff that is to do it. So when the staff is not there, it's after working hours. The security must do it. Must the security always ask for permission before he cannot reach the staff? It means that there must be a decision process to say that, okay, light must still be running here because of our CCTV cameras, fence wall, and all that. Or there's a decision that weekend we don't need light. So if the light goes off at weekend, don't turn it on. Don't turn the genset on. If it goes on, security man, turn it on. So it has breached a gap. That's an example. Now, decentralized information. You must create very clear escalation procedures, like I was with the genset. Once a situation is escalating, for example, you are producing your production per day, you have exceeded it. Once you exceed it, must staff stop working? That is something you must, for those escalating decisions, it must be known. So that staff, when they exceed their production, they say, oh, we are resting, we've met our destiny. No. There should be some process that handles it, whether they should continue or not, or let the machine cool. So there should be a process that quickly addresses it. Then the fifth thing we'd have to look at is to implement a flexible and adaptive structure. Now you need to look at your structure. Is your structure robust? Is it strong? If it's not strong, you would have to fit in certain blocks to make it strong. So maybe managers are not empowered to make decisions. Empower them. Look at what it is. Now, is it flexible? Managers have been empowered to make decisions. Are they sitting on the ability of staff to be able to operate without them? Or they are slowing the business? You must look at that and address it. Another thing you must look at is the metrics or hybrid model. You use a kind of model. We discussed the models last week. So let's say you use a kind of model or use a kind of reporting line, maybe it's top to bottom, and it's always top to bottom. And you've realized that there are certain setbacks. What you must also do is to use metrics or hybrid, like mix the models, use different types, merge them. So you realize that's not working, then it means that you introduce the bottom to top. So it means that most of the time, decision and direction and leadership is a top to bottom approach. But after understanding your structure, you can mix it with bottom to top. So sometimes the leadership will be bottom to top, and sometimes it will be top to bottom. Now, the third thing we need to look at is to utilize technology for automation and efficiency. It's a very important thing. But quite a lot of the times, people get comfortable. This is a very important procedure in enhancing your organizational structure. Now, once you are not able to use this 0.6, there is a level a business cannot get to. No matter the industry, no matter the field, there's a level the business cannot get to. So I'll give some practical examples. So you have a business is growing, but you don't have a website, you are not advertising online, you have no form of digital advertisement. It means that the company can become as big as your location or where your information go, but it cannot become a global brand. And that is because you have not employed technology for automation and efficiency. The other thing too is that you could have a business. You are producing manual. Let's say you are producing For example, you are producing some drinks, but the drinks, you mix it with your hand. You are doing a manual process. The business cannot grow to a certain level. It can supply millions of people across the border. Now, what that means is that at a point in time, after you've made profits and revenue and there's demand for your market, you would have to put up a plant. And when we talk about a plant, these are sophisticated machinery which are engineered or designed to be able to fast track your production process. And so that means you may be doing it, you get a huge market, you've become known. With a plant or instituting a factory with a plant and sophisticated machinery, you can increase your production by 10 times what you were doing, because now you are using machines. So that is necessary. Now, in utilizing technology for automation and efficiency, one, you must look at digital tools. You must use digital tools, software. Now, some time back, a lot of pharmacies were just using book and seal and what. Now, virtually every standard pharmacy that is opening in Ghana, they have a teller machine. The pharmacist is trained to use the machine to put in prescriptions and take and give receipts and drugs and keep the money and keep change. So the whole teller machine addresses that. That's a form of technology. The other thing is that automation. Now, with automation, you must also ensure that your employees can focus on value addition and efficiency. So what it means is that the technology you are giving them should help them move faster and do better. Imagine you are dealing with, you have an accounting firm, you help your staff with some accounting software, and they can't wrap their heads around the software because it's so sophisticated, it takes too much data. What you realize is that at the end of the day, it slows them than making them fast. Yes, so it means that the technology must be friendly enough to allow automation. Then you must employ data and analytics for your decision making. So it means that these tools, softwares, these technological tools that come into your business, they help you calculate. A funny example can be a farmer that is using a hoe to farm, and this time they decide to farm some acres. They bring a tractor, pay the tractor does a number of acres. When they get to the ground, when they are doing fertilization and all that, they have their container, their bag, their spraying and all that, pesticides and all that. Now, when he was using the hoe, as and when he was strong, it would determine how much quantity of land he can farm and what for that year, depending on how active he is, how he's strong. But using tractors and all the machine and that, you just know that I can do this much in this day and in 1 week. So technology allows you to be able to even project. It has given you the ability to have data that can protect your farming. So somebody says, can you produce this? You said, frankly, with the machines and this and that and my land, I can produce only up to this amount because you can calculate it. But the farmer using the hoe will not be able to do those calculations because you'll be like, oh, maybe this part of my land is rocky. It will take a longer time to, I'm not sure. So he won't be able to give accurate projections like the one that uses machine. Now, the 7th point in enhancing your organizational structure is to foster a collaborative and inclusive environment. Now, while you do that is one, to ensure that you promote team-based work. You must get your staff or your employees or the people you work with, your team, you should be able to get them to work in groups. Teamwork must be there. The fact that somebody is not available to do their work, the fact that somebody is not doing their work so well, that also, what do you call it, can affect it. Somebody should be able to step in, but not say, that's not my work, so I'm looking at it, I'm not paid to do that. Teamwork. You must encourage inclusivity, who should feel a part of the process. And as part of that, you must receive feedback. So you have restructured, you have redefined roles, you have implemented certain things, you have introduced some technological tools and gadgets. Get feedback from the people. Is it helping? Is it not? As part of it. Now, this is point 7. I have just 3 more points, point 8, 9, and 10, or 4 more points. that I'll just take you through. But I want to find out with the presentation so far, if you have any question, if you can relate to any aspect of it practically, you can relate to it. We can discuss that before we continue. So the first point I talked about was to assess your current organizational structure. Once you have done, the second thing is to define and align your structure with the goals. Ensure that it's up to date. And if your objectives must change, let them change to meet the goals. Now, the third thing is that you must evaluate the current role and responsibilities of your staff, your human resource, and then you can optimize and you must bring clarity in their roles, reskill them and upskill. Then the fourth thing is that you must optimize communication. It's a necessary process. The fifth thing is that you implement a flexible and adaptive structure. Make sure that what you're introducing is flexible and adaptive. Then the sixth thing is that you must introduce technological tools, and that's utilizing technology for automation and efficiency. And the seventh thing is that you must foster collaborative and inclusive environment, teamwork. Okay. So any points, any concerns, any questions?
Hi. Right. Thank you. So far, it's been very, very educative, Mr. Adombila. So again, as he's asked, is there any question that you'd want to bring on board before he continues? I've dropped some highlights in the chat. So please feel free to ask. We'll do that for maybe the next minute before he continues. Please, you can raise your hand and I'll call you. Okay, Esther, are you talking?
No, please.
Okay, all right. Okay, then Mr. Adombila, I'll just ask this question just to get our minds prepared to ask more questions. And so looking at point 1 to 7, which areas do you suggest as a first-time entrepreneur we may need some form of external guidance, like we may have to get a professional in a certain capacity to assist? For example, I have my goal set. I know what I want to do. I want to produce shea butter because I realize a lot of people have very parched skin. I know the structure in place. I know the people I need. But then at what point do I know that my structure may not really be helping, or my structure needs to align to needs to take a certain model because of what I'm trying to target? So which of the points do you suggest we may want to step outside our own knowledge and get guidance on, like more guidance on?
So if I get your question well, what you're saying is at what point do you realize that or identify that your structure needs some upgrade or assist or review, right?
Yes, basically. Yes. That kind of assessments, yes.
So there are 3 ways you can know that. The first thing is by evaluation, time-to-time evaluation. So a lot of people may be tempted, oh, everything seems to be working fine in my business. I don't need to reevaluate it. So they are waiting to identify an issue. So now the first thing is that when you begin to see certain problems or breakdowns in communication, breakdown in performance, or inefficiencies, when you begin to see these signs, then you know that your structure needs some reevaluation. So when you are seeing setbacks or certain issues, that's the first way you know. Then the second thing is that a lot of the times people look at their goals, how your organizational performance is in relation to your goal. Are you improving? Are you beginning to meet targets? So your organizational performance is from your vision or from your goal. If you are close to it, then you are making improvement. But if you are still far from it, it means that your organizational structure needs some relook to ensure that the speed or efficiency at which it is moving for your goal is there. Now, the third way, which is, I deem it the most essential way to know, is by having time to time or regular evaluation. So it means that your organizational structure may be looking fine, the business may be looking fine, but you should be able to evaluate it from annually. So let's say you don't do it because everything is good, the business is going. You can do an evaluation this year, at the beginning of this year, and only realize that in the last 2 years, a part of your machinery or your plant or your staff have been inactive, and you have a lot of profits there. If you had used the profit for raw materials and kept this other portion busy, production would have doubled. But you wouldn't have known if you did not evaluate, because everything is flowing. But when you did evaluation, you realize that no, I could have doubled production. So these are the three signs, but the third one is most important, because even when you do not see any sign out of performing it, you can find a sign and an issue to address your terms.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's the 3 keys have given much enlightenment on how to be guided by the information we are receiving. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So are there any questions before he continues? He has 3 major points to go through. Okay, so please build your questions. You can drop them in the chat room. I'll read them accordingly. All right. So Mr. Adonvilla, please, you can continue.
Okay. Now, the 8th thing, once you have ensured that there's teamwork, collaboration, the 8th is that you must reevaluate your leadership and management practices. So you have allowed collaboration, teamwork, but sometimes the kind of management style and practices you have do not allow. So if your management style is strictly top to bottom, it means that teamwork cannot function beyond the command that comes from the top. So what you do is you restructure so that down can also send information and direction to the top. And then it addresses that issue. So there should be leadership development. Managers should be empowered. And then you should also be able to evaluate span control. Now, what we mean in that is be able to your staff, ensure that you can put them in a particular direction, ensure them that you can give them certain workload and they will deliver. Ensure that your staff can be controlled and they can be managed to produce the desired results. Now, the 9th thing you would look at, the 9th point, is to redesign reporting and accountability structures. So as part of the structure run, there should be a system that ensures reporting, that ensures accountability, that ensures that data is archived, so that every time you can go back and reevaluate history, reevaluate performances, reevaluate the organizational performance, and then enhance it. And so you must redesign it. So you have a structure that's running, you have the human resource, the essential blocks in it that are running, but you also have a kind of system that they cannot really influence, which ensures accountability and then reporting. For example, a corporate firm would have an external auditor. No matter how good your company is, no matter how your accountants and internal audit is, you must have an external auditor. So the external auditor is a design that is that ensures that accurate reporting goes to the board of directors at the end of the year, and that everybody in the company is accountable. So that one, no matter how you empower your staff or your management, it cannot affect their audited reports because they are an external body. Now, the 10th thing you do is to foster a culture of continuous improvement. Your staff must be ready to improve daily. Production should improve daily. Quality should improve daily. Everything should improve. It means that you must create an environment where you are not comfortable with where you are. We are doing great, but let's maintain it, and let's also look at the next level. As you try to look at the next level, quality is not compromised, or your level of operation is not compromised. That means as part of this, you monitor performance and make sure that performance must always be on the rise. If it begins to decline, you address it quickly. And then as part of this continuous thing, you pilot new ideas. Like I said, you are introducing a new tool. It's an idea. When the tool comes into place, this technological tool is allowing you to do work faster. Is it efficient? Yes. Is it affecting any part of production? No. What you do is that you have implemented an idea, and now you can roll it out fully. Now you must manage, the 11th point is to manage change efficiently. So change management strategy. From time to time, you must change the organizational strategy, marketing strategy, management strategy, production strategy. You must, from time to time, look at it, because markets can change. When COVID came, a lot changed. People had to change their company management structure because they had to maybe hibernate half of the staff. Like, don't come to work, you are not getting paid, hibernate. Then they maintain some essential blocks. Okay, you work online, deliver this. So what they did is that change came, and then they managed to change their structure. They changed their management policy. They changed their delivery policy. So they just had few people doing deliveries and all that. So that's a clear example of adapting to change. Now you must create champions for change. So in most companies, they will empower either the project manager or the operations manager, but usually the operations manager. So they empower him to be able to redefine the mode of output. So at any point in time on a construction firm, the production manager what the person can do is can say that, okay, rather cut the blocks in this level, or do this, plaster the walls at this time of the day, because at the end of the day, the operations manager is directing operations, which will affect productivity and performance. And then as part of the managing change, you must also monitor and adjust during transition. So your project manager is leaving, a new project manager is coming. Your operational manual or your company policy, these documents should have had in their regulations that a staff who is leaving on a particular level of management must give a 1-month notice or 2-month notice. So it means that the person cannot resign immediately. You are entitled to enforce the person to stay, probably train some others before they can leave. Is someone speaking? Okay, let me just come up with this. So this is the last point. Once you have managed change, it means that you have dealt with the process of managing change. It makes your company robust. Whether you lose a staff or a key person, you can easily adapt to change and address it. The 12th point, which is the last point, is that you must engage stakeholders and ensure a buy-in. So let's say I'm the country manager of a business or a bank or something. Now I'm the country manager. I call the shots, I call the decisions, but we must understand that there's a higher body, which will be the board of directors. There are certain decisions I cannot call, they must endorse. It means